Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. I'm doing a Q&A, catching up with you guys. I asked you over on Instagram if you have any questions about postpartum, being a new mum, newborn days and things like that, and I got so many questions, so I'm going to go through like the really popular ones today and just talk you through my experience of how it's been. So I'm really excited to just sit and chat about it. Baby boy is actually 6 weeks old today. I'm actually really sad because I just want him to stay a tiny newborn forever, but he's just so perfect. I love him so much. Yeah, it's 6 weeks old, so I thought it'd be a really good time to sit down and film this particular video today because 6 weeks is like the real newborn period. I'm going to answer your questions today. I've got my icy water because let me tell you, it's needed, it's so needed. I've got his playmat here next to me. If he wakes up and wants to go on that, he can. Okay, so I'll start with one of the most popular questions. So how are you feeling both physically and emotionally? So before I had him, I was concerned about, especially mentally, how I would cope. Because obviously it really does differ. It doesn't matter if you're like in perfect emotional health your whole life. You could give birth to a baby and really suffer mentally with it. Before I gave birth, it was something I was worried about, and I did have chats with Lawrence about it and just said, you know, if this happens, if that happens, and you know, we were always on board with each other. Since giving birth, I've actually been really, you know, touch wood, emotionally really well. I've definitely been one of the lucky ones where I've given birth and had the love bubble, like the lovely newborn bubble, where I've just felt mainly really good and really in love with him, able to cope, and there's definitely been baby blues. Baby blues are very much different to what I thought they would be. Baby blues are just like fleeting moments of like, you know, I was crying my eyes out because I was imagining him as an old man and I wouldn't be there to look after him, and what if he's lonely and things like that. Like that, I was crying about that for the first few days after he was born. And you know, I've cried over things like my breastfeeding journey. You know, that hasn't always been easy. Generally not felt low, not felt depressed. I haven't felt those things, so emotionally really good, and I really am so happy with that. I definitely think doing things like giving myself a break, letting Lawrence take over, because in the newborn days babies are very much reliant on their mums, especially if you're breastfeeding. Yeah, giving myself a break, doing things I love, you know, sitting with the cats alone, doing some gardening, being outside, you know, getting out and about, having people over but not too many people over. So yeah, emotionally really good. Tired some days more than others. I've had, yeah, tired days where I've felt just a bit fed up, but yeah, good. So that's really good. There's some things you can control and some things you can't control. Luckily my hormones have been kind of kind to me, and the things I could control, which was getting myself out and about, preparing for my emotional well-being up until the birth, blah blah, I did all of that, so I'd recommend that. And physically, I mean, I had a home birth and it was all natural, so I think because it was very uninvasive, I didn't have to have like forceps and things like that in a hospital setting. My recovery wasn't too bad. I didn't get a tear. I had an episiotomy. Again, I'll get onto that. I will be filming my labour and delivery story at some point this week. But I had an episiotomy, so that was like the kind of recover from that. The first few days physically I was, yeah, now I recall, the first few days physically was quite hard actually. I remember like walking up the stairs was like doing a marathon. It was so physically hard. I'd be out of breath, I'd have to sit down, my legs would be weak, and that was because of just labour itself and also your body recovering, and your organs are all in a different place because there's nothing in your stomach, like the baby's not in your stomach anymore. So yeah, I remember the first few days was quite difficult, but nowhere near as hard as I thought it might be or it could have been had I, you know, had a C-section or forceps or other kind of interventions. So again, really lucky. I did do a lot of swimming and exercise throughout pregnancy, and again I think that does help. Oh, someone said, where is this outfit from that Oren was wearing? And it's from Next. I'll link it down below. So a question: did you feel overwhelmed, or did the transition into being a mum come quite naturally? Do you know what? Again, really lucky. It came really naturally. I mean, I spoke to loads of you guys on Instagram when I was still pregnant, saying, oh, I don't know if I can do this, like, will I be a good mum, what do I do? And yeah, it did just come naturally to me. There's definitely been some things where I've been like, what am I doing? But I'm really lucky because I have like a really supportive family. But in terms of knowing him, knowing what to do with him, on the whole I'd say 90% it's felt natural, and then there's been 10% of times where I felt like I don't know what I'm doing. Google, or you know, speak to my midwife. Luckily I've had like really good relationship with my midwife. So I think also aside of that is I didn't build up in my head what type of mum I was going to be and make sure that, you know, I'm going to do it this way and I'm going to do it that way. I just kind of let it evolve naturally. So what's most surprised you about motherhood, and is it exactly what you thought it would be? So it's not actually what I thought it would be. Before you have a baby, if you've never had one before, a lot of people like to tell you horror stories or say things like you're never going to sleep again and kiss goodbye to a social life and do this, you know, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And I suppose when you grow up, or being surrounded by those kind of comments, and then you get pregnant and those kind of comments amp up, you are of the mindset that being a mum is going to be really difficult and you're not going to enjoy it, especially the first few years. I don't know, more people seem to say like the negative stuff than the good stuff, but I'm really lucky. On Instagram I did get so many of you guys telling me how wonderful it is, and actually so many of my comments on my videos, you guys tell me about your motherhood journeys and how much you loved it, and please keep doing that to like anybody who's having a baby, because I feel like when you're just given the horror stories, yeah, it sets you up to think that motherhood's going to be really quite stressful, to be honest, and there's definitely some stress there. But I think the thing that surprised me the most, and the thing that I never really thought about, is he's going to be mine. So no matter how little sleep I get, it's because I've got this perfect little being. I've got my son, and I get to see him in the night. And yeah, it's going to be really difficult that I've had 2 hours sleep over 24 hours at some point, but it's also going to be amazing because I get to spend my time with him and I get to see him change each day and do something new. And I think that's the thing that surprised me, because when I gave birth to him I haven't found it nearly as hard as what I thought I would, because the love is so strong. And I just want to remind anyone who's having a baby and due soon, every kind of hard bit of motherhood will be outweighed by this amazing love you have for your baby or your child. So it's never as hard as you think. I'll tell you what has surprised me, I think, is how territorial you get over your baby, protective you get. And what I mean by that is, you know, I don't mind people holding him and cuddling him and things like that, but if he cries, I'm just, you know, I didn't think I'd be like this, but I'm like, give me my baby back, like, give me my baby back. You just want your baby, you know, you're going to be the one to help your baby. You know, I can't bear it when he cries and he's not in my arms, because I think he wants me. Well, not even he wants me, he needs me right now, and just give him back. So that has surprised me. I can't bear him being elsewhere when he's crying. I have to like comfort him. Close friend is due in September. What's your must-haves for a baby, but not obvious ones? Okay, so I am going to do a must-haves for baby video, but I'm going to say this. Honestly, get this. If you want to buy your friends something, they'll really appreciate it. And I'll tell you something else. Where is it? Another thing I'd really recommend, like really recommend, is this book, The Wonder Weeks. This is, my sister-in-law got me this, and it's absolutely incredible. Baby boy's awake. This book, which I'm going to link down below, honestly, I really recommend it. I don't know how common knowledge this is, I think it's quite common, but your babies go through leaps throughout the first couple of years of their life, and during a leap phase it can become quite difficult with your baby, and they can cry a lot more, or their sleep regresses for a while and things like that. So what it does is talk you through each leap, and it gives you the confidence that this is just a leap and it's going to end. There's a funny face. By the way, he smiled for the first time yesterday. It was incredible. Hello. It's the Wonder Weeks book. I really do recommend that. I'm going to link it down below. Also, this mat has been a huge success. It's from Mamas and Papas, and it really has been great, and it's going to grow with him, so it's definitely a good investment of money. A sling if you want to do baby wearing, which is such a wonderful thing, and it really has saved us in terms of sometimes when because he's quite colicky, sometimes when he's really upset and he just wants to be close to us, but we also need our hands. He can nap in the sling, and it's really lovely. Also, oh my gosh, I cannot recommend these enough. Love to Dream sleep suits. So these are zip up sleep suits. I'll put a couple of pictures of Orin wearing them in the video. They are incredible. He's worn them from day one. He sleeps really great in these. We only have them on him at night time, so this is like his bedtime routine. The only type of routine we've got is we use this at bedtime, and he really enjoys it. It basically mimics how they would be in a womb, but it releases their legs, and it's good for their hips, so they're not all like scrunched up from the hip downwards. And it zips from the bottom as well, so in the night time when you need to change him, you don't have to take him out of the suit fully. You can just get his legs out at the bottom and change him. And they've been absolutely fantastic. You can buy them in different togs. This is a one tog. So at the moment where it's really hot, he sleeps in just a nappy inside this, and he does really well. And then obviously you change what he wears inside them as the temperature changes. Some things really can be just such like a rip-off in my opinion. But those sleep suits I really think are worth the money, and I absolutely love them. And full disclosure, I was sent them. I'm buying like the next sizes up because they're incredible. Okay, are your freezer meals going down well? So before I gave birth, I spent 2 weeks batch cooking. So I made breakfasts, I made loads of different types of things for dinners. So loads of like chicken meals and just tons of things for the freezer. If you're pregnant yourself, I'm going to link both of those videos down below. Orin's gone down to play with Daddy. Right, so freezer meals were a really good idea. In the first week of having a newborn, I cannot tell you how good it was. We had that all in the freezer. We really needed that. How are the night feeds? So the night feeds are okay, to be honest. Like when you're establishing breastfeeding, so in the first like 4 weeks, it was do you know what, I might do a whole breastfeeding video, because breastfeeding has been a journey. I've really enjoyed it, but I've had like really difficult times with it. But the night feeds as a whole, just the night feeds, aren't too bad because he's really sleepy. Your breast milk changes in the night, becomes very fatty and rich in melatonin and things like that. So it's a very sleepy feed. He wakes now 2 to 3 times in the night for a feed. They last about half an hour each. I did struggle a little bit with the falling asleep in between feeds. He would fall asleep fine and go back down fine. It was me who would struggle because once you're kind of awake, I have to turn, like, have the night light on, feed him, sit him up for a while so he's like it's all gone down, and burp him and things like that. Make sure he's clean and changed, put him back down, then I lie back down, and then you're kind of like trying to think, and you're trying not to focus on the fact that in 2 hours you're probably up again. But generally the night feeds are okay. Lawrence does a lot of the changing in the evenings, like in the nights, just so we're like tag teaming and it's not all me, because when you're breastfeeding it can feel like you're kind of in it alone, and it can become quite a challenge, but we do really well together. How much did Orin weigh when he was born? He weighed 9 pounds and 1 ounce. So what is your baby number 2 age gap? I'm trying to decide for myself, so any advice is great. I don't know. I really don't know. I actually don't have an answer for that. It's going to be when it happens. One thing you would tell someone who's about to become a new mum. This one is kind of teams up with what I said before, and it's going to be, you will be able to do it. Like, you will be able to do it. You won't struggle as much as you think you will. The first few weeks go really, really quickly, so that is a good thing and a bad thing. So it's a good thing because when you're struggling on no sleep, feeding's being really difficult, or the baby's really, really, say, colicky, or it's reflux, or the baby can't be put down, which is all really normal stuff, and you know, you feel like you're just not getting a respite, it doesn't last long. It really, really doesn't. But it's also really, really upsetting that it doesn't last long, because those first few weeks are just so wonderful. So when you're struggling, just think, don't worry, this isn't going to last long. But when you're cuddling them and you're looking into their little sleeping faces and you're touching their hands and then looking at their feet, just remember it doesn't last long, so just try taking every single moment. Breastfeeding snacks. I do actually have these breastfeeding cookies. So these are Milk Makers breastfeeding cookies. They have, what is the, that's it, fenugreek in them. And fenugreek is meant to naturally increase your milk supply. Regardless of if it does the job or not, they're actually really delicious cookies. They're like little mini, kind of like Maryland's cookies, and they're really, really good. Great to snack on when you're constantly hungry from breastfeeding. Flapjacks, oh my gosh, so I made flapjacks last week, and my sister, who, yeah, lactation consultant, she said she doesn't know what it is, but flapjacks are really, really good for milk production. And I don't know if it's a psychological thing, but they actually really are. They really work. If you want, I can vlog making them. I might just vlog making them anyway, regardless. But yeah, they're really good. I'm going to make some today as well. How have you found breastfeeding? I loved it. I love it. I really, really, really love it. And yeah, I want to go for as long as possible. I really love it. I'm so glad it's clicked for us. It's officially a million degrees in here. So that's going to be it for today's questions. Thank you so much if you did send questions in. I loved doing this because it felt like I was actually finally catching up with you guys. I will be filming my labour and delivery story. I just need to get around to filming it, and obviously it's going to be quite long, so then I need to get around to editing it. But I'm really excited to do that because it's going to be really strange going back on my labour and delivery experience. But anyway, do watch out for that. I hope you're all really, really well. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know how you're doing in the comments down below, and I'll see you again really, really soon. Bye.